Hello, everyone. Again, welcome to one more interesting episode. Today, the topic which we have picked up for the discussion is highly important for all the students and all the aspirants who are planning to go to US. Yes, I'm right. Many of you would be planning for your high studies to hit any good university in US. But yet, you would be having so many apprehensions with you that whether it's a right decision, what challenges you will have to face there, what opportunities are lying over there, and so many questions would be just in your mind for which you need the answers. So yes, our today's guest is a young boy who is living there, who have gone through all these challenges. This boy has passed through all these phases of lives, that yes, what is the education system over there, what challenges are there, and how to overcome all these things. So today's episode is going to be highly interesting, and more than that, would be highly informative for all of you who are planning your career in the high studies to some topmost American universities. So stay tuned with us and welcome our today's guest, Mr. Rudra. So, hello everyone. Let's welcome our today's guest, Mr. Rudra, and he would be sharing a lot about this very important topic, that how the Indians who are planning their career ahead in the US, so what they need to prepare, how they need to cope up there, and so many things, and so on and so forth. So, before starting this interesting topic, I'll request Ruth to introduce himself.
Hi, so my name is Arnav Shukla. I live here in the US. I live in Texas, and I'm 16 years old. I'm going to be going into 11th grade. And some of my interests outside of school are coding. I like watching sports, and I just like spending time with my friends and like relaxing, playing video games, all common like teenager stuff. So yeah.
Okay, okay, that's great. So, Ruth, one more question I would like to ask in your introduction section. How long you have been there?
I was born here, so I've lived here my entire 16 years. My parents moved here around 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago.
Okay, that's interesting. So, Ruth, you understand our today's topic. That's all about that all the Indians who are planning their career in the US. So, what opportunities and challenges they are seeing there. So that would be our discussion in today's session. So Ruth, that was an interesting introduction which you have just mentioned now. But the highly challenging question nowadays, that many students are travel to US for their higher education and definitely for their better opportunities in their career. But
Mhm.
certainly they have gone through their 12th grade here in the India, and now they are moving to the different country. So what do you think? What's your perspective, that how challenging it is when they are moving from one country to the other, and that to the US? So how challenging would it be for them to cope up with the education system of US?
Okay, so from the education system standpoint, I don't think it's like as difficult to cope with like the different education system because with the way that like colleges are set up here, you get admitted into a college which you're obviously qualified for. So it's obviously something that you're interested in and something that you're well capable for. So keeping up with the education probably isn't as hard. Maybe like the way that the education system is ran is a little bit different. So you have to like get accustomed to like the certain nuances of it and like how things are run over here. But education wise, it probably shouldn't be as hard. But where the problem or the issues probably do come up is like with networking, getting used to such a new area and being away from your family for being so far away from your family for the probably the first time. So those are probably the biggest factors that come with moving here and having to like getting moving here and having to get like adjusted here. So it's less of like having to cope with the education system, in my opinion.
Okay, so I believe what you are trying to convey here, that it is more challenging to adjust there in terms of their living rather than the education. Education part is easy to manage.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. And one more thing. That's a common
Mhm.
perception behind every Indian student. They feel that it is highly difficult to get admission to the American universities. And many students are planning for the last 3 years, 4 years, so that they can crack to the good universities. But do you think that this perception is actually true? And if yes, then what do you think? What could be the rationale behind this perception in the Indian student's mind? Why do they feel like that?
Okay, well, if you look at it like from a big picture, it's not hard to actually get into a university, but getting into a good university is where it starts to get hard. So there's obviously the Ivy League that has like Harvard, all of the good schools, all of like the amazing schools, world-renowned schools, and those are certainly very, very hard to get into. And that's mainly because of like the standard that they expect now because teenagers are like doing so many more things. They have so many projects, they're starting businesses, they're like making an impact on the world. So there's so much competitiveness and the goal for basically everyone is to get into these high and top colleges. And when you're an international student, there's not much of a point to come like internationally if you're not going to one of the best universities here. So I guess from that standpoint, that perception does make sense. But from like an overall admission standpoint, the you can get like getting into college in itself is not as hard, but obviously getting into one of the top colleges is harder. And so that's why many people like start planning from very far ahead, 3, 4 years ahead. Here, like people are like doing a lot of things to get like their grades very high. There's a lot of competition and people are like spending their like a lot of their free time just studying and like doing like extra competitions and stuff. So that's probably where like the perception of it being hard to get into like the top universities comes from.
Okay. So, any tip you would like to give here that you are also saying that yes, this perception is actually right and they need to work very hard to get into the top university, certainly, what you are saying. So, any tip you want to give here?
For getting into the very top universities, I don't know how it works for international students. It's probably pretty similar to like domestic, but the common thing that people say is find an interest very like pretty early on, like around ninth or 10th grade, and from there focus on that and find things that you can do. And so like find things you can do, spend like a lot of your like a decent amount of your free amount of your free time on that. Find things that are prestigious, like compete in things related to your field. And some people even recommend doing some sort of project that like showcases your abilities, internships, research. So just finding things that you also enjoy so that you don't get like completely burnt out and look good to colleges is something that you can certainly do to get into one of these top colleges.
Interesting. That's pretty good advice you are giving. So now I'm coming to the different perspective. For example, a student is already there. He or she is able to crack that admission. But
Mhm.
after that, they are just willing to settle over there for their career, for their jobs. So then what do you think? Because you are living there for
Mhm.
the last many years. So how challenging do you see it is for the Indians to get settled in the US. And what do you think? What would be the major challenges or the major issues which they need to handle, which probably you have seen your parents would have faced?
Okay, so initially getting settled in is definitely the hardest part. And it's mainly the barriers that they face because getting settled here, like getting a house, getting an apartment or whatever, that's like the easy part. But like finding a community that works for you. Luckily, like right now we're living in a place where there's like a lot of Indians around us. So it's not really hard for new people who are new to here to like get like used to being here. And basically used to the community. But just in general, the language barrier is sometimes an issue. The cultural barrier sometimes they're not accepted if they move into certain cities. So those are like the main things that are barriers. But overall, like getting settled here, there's a lot of things that make it easier because there is like a pretty heavy Indian population here. So you will find people, but there's also instances where you like move into a community where there are less Indian people, so you might find it harder to like connect with other people, and obviously then it's harder.
Okay. So it means, if I summarize what challenges you are telling, that it's easy to get settled over there, but it is difficult to find the like communities over there. So once you
Yeah,
started
so
finding
that's
the
like
like, yeah, please.
yeah, that's like the main issue with like getting settled here. Because like just getting you even like in general getting used to things and how they are over here. Because when I come to India, like of course there's like many of the things over there are different. Like over here, like everyone goes around in cars. Over there, you can just like walk around and like take a motorcycle to everywhere, take an auto. So yeah, there's like a lot of differences, but overall getting settled here is not that difficult. It's mainly about finding the right people
Okay, so
and like
that I
connecting.
believe your this reply would be a lot giving a lot of hope to the Indian students who are planning to for their career in that different country. Now
Yeah.
I'm asking you a little sensitive question.
Hmm.
You know that many I have read it across the news as well, that
Hmm.
many Indian Americans, they believe that discrimination against the Indian origin people is a major challenge which we have not discussed yet, and I believe that the people feel it is one of the major challenge. So
Hmm.
have you faced any such kind of challenge, and what's your say about that? What's your observation about that challenge?
I personally like have not seen it or like experienced it with like the people around me, but I obviously know that it is an issue. And one of the main reasons that I haven't had to face it is because again, we've been surrounded like by many Indian families. So like it's we're like generally accepted over here, but there's definitely areas where like that discrimination is worse. So it's obviously an issue, but it's not something that should completely like deter you from coming over here because there's obviously like there's going to be some sort of like discrimination, some problem like in every like area of the world. So it's just like again about finding the right places like that you can avoid it, people that are like alike to you, so you can avoid it as best as you can. And especially for students, if you're going to college, discrimination isn't as big of a problem because obviously there's like so much diversity over there that there's so many people that have to get along with each other and they're like not really discriminating against each other.
Okay, so all the listeners, all the viewers who are watching this specific episode, I believe that answer will give you a lot of relief that it's not as difficult to get settled over there. That's what he's specifically mentioning about that. No doubt, you have to be mentally strong when you are moving to a different country. Is that you want to say, Rudra?
Yeah, definitely. It's obviously a big adjustment. There's obviously going to be the issues like with moving over here, things that you're not used to, things that you're going to have to adjust with, things that you're obviously not going to like as well. But overall, like it's not as bad as if it's something that's bringing you like a very good opportunity.
That's pretty interesting. Okay, so I'm just coming to the end of this discussion. And
Mhm.
what do you think? There is any specific point which I have missed, I could not ask you, and which you think is highly important for the Indian students who are planning their career ahead in the US, and you want to summarize anything which is missing in that discussion till now?
I think it's just like the education system here, like I'm pretty sure it's very competitive there too. But it's also like very competitive here. So it's something that like you have to be pretty dedicated for. And you just have to like find the things that you're interested in and like apply yourselves to them because there's so many things to do over here. Like there's probably like a lot of clubs, a lot of organizations that you can join that can like help you with your career and like finding things that you're interested in. It's just about like finding the things that you want to do and sticking with them and actually working hard towards them, because if you work hard like you'll get into like a good school and you'll definitely have a really good career over here.
Okay. One more last thing I just want to ask from, I believe that would be the question which will be popping up in many heads, that how challenging financially it would be.
So, for the top colleges, it's pretty expensive. For like the mid like for mid-tier colleges, it's like still like relatively expensive, but it's not anything that's unmanageable. And for people who have like financial like hardships or whatever, and they need a little bit of assistance, there are a lot of like scholarship and like financial assistant programs available. And so it's basically income based in many cases. So if that is an issue, many schools will be helpful for it. They'll provide financial aid. So finances aren't something that should like completely deter you from like pursuing an education in America.
That's good. That's interesting. So I believe you have decoded and you have mentioned so many points wherein you are saying that it's not as difficult, but yet at the same time you have to be determined and you have to be confident that yes, we have to make it. So if any
Mhm.
student is planning that yes, I want to do it, so there are hundreds of options available, be it about the getting coping up with the culture, with the environment, with the community, and with the finances as well.
Yeah,
Any final
definitely.
words from your side which you want to say to everyone?
Um, Not really anything in specific, but I just think that yeah, just like if you do enough hard work, you'll be fine.
Good. So your final word is highly specific, that do hard work. And I would add just one more point to it. Be determined for whatever you want to do. Just analyze everything. Don't just be fascinated about anything that, yes, though everybody is doing, so I also have to do it. Just find in your interest, your calling, and what you actually want to do. Then only proceed and take for any action. And once you decide, so definitely paths would be open for you, and I
Mhm.
believe there would be many who will come forward to help you. So that's, I believe, the final message which he wants to convey, and I have just reiterated in a different format. So
Yeah.
thanks a lot, Ruth, because you have shared so many beautiful insights and the relieving points for many Indian students who are definitely looking forward to some of the good universities. Thank
Mhm.
you. Thanks a lot for this discussion.
Thanks for having me.